on a posted agenda. While the board listens to concerns of a general nature, speakers should practice normal rules of decorum. Obscene language and profanity will not be tolerated, as this is a public meeting and our students are watching. Additionally, disruptions of the meeting will not be tolerated. We ask the audience to refrain from interrupting speakers while they present to the board during this portion of the meeting. We will begin with registered speakers who signed up to address the board in the auditorium. Would Ann Sang please come to the podium? We'd like to recognize Ms. Sang for her service to our community, including as a former Board of Education trustee. Welcome, Ms. Sang.
I'm here as an HISD parent to say thank you. Superintendent House, thank you for making your home here in Houston, serving our community with dignity. You'll be missed. Trustees, thank you for your dedication, for your passion, for running for office, and for serving our children in this unpaid volunteer job. And as a former Northside teacher, since it's Teacher Appreciation Week, I would be remiss if I didn't honor and thank my Northside High School teacher colleague, Elizabeth Santos. Thank you for loving and living democracy, for showing our students and teachers that they could put together a campaign and win and make a difference for students. Thank you.
Next, will Lachey Davis please come to the podium? This speaker will be followed by Ted Weisgo.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Lachey Davis. I'm an active HISD stakeholder with the Office of Special Education. However, I'm here as the parent and mother of Jeremiah Williams, who is a trumpet player in the esteemed Westbury High School marching band under the direction of Virginal Washington. At the focal point of Westbury's district website, it employs that like HISD's Family and Community Engagement Department, the principal values parents as partners in preparing our students to succeed in college, career, and beyond. I would have to beg to differ and say not so. The principal has inflicted a personal, unethical, and unjustified decision to remove Mr. Washington as band director for the upcoming school year without the consult or consideration of Westbury band students or their parents. What district court principals uphold these leadership methods that would jeopardize the student's social and emotional state and disregard the student and parents' educational input for the sake of gaining an extra dollar? Is it to improve human capital, improve public support and confidence in schools, or maybe it aligns with creating a positive district culture? Moreover, help me explain to my son how the emphasis placed on Westbury's fine arts budget that was minimized due to the COVID-19 pandemic and how it has an effect on enrollment at Westbury and across the district as a whole is directly related to Mr. Washington's performance and justifies the removal of him as band director. I want clarification, as the principal has disregarded my parents' request for a formal meeting and band students and the parents. Thus, I'm asking that there be an investigation regarding the decision the principal has made to significantly change my child's educational program without the incorporation of FACE. That'll be the Family and Community Engagement Department, and that Mr. Washington be reinstated as band director for the 23-24 school year.
Jerry Monroe died on April 30th. He made a positive difference in kids' lives and mine. I hope he made one in yours. Like former HISD board president Juliet Stepetch, who introduced me to the late principal of Fur High, Dr. Bertie Simmons, Jerry was able to secure a private meeting for me with Yates High School principal Kenneth Davis. As a result, I had the pleasure of working with students in those schools to create bylaws for their student governments. Those bylaws are in my HISD vendor approved book, Robert's Rules for Kids and Big Kids. In 2021, Superintendent House participated in a panel that addressed disrupting the school-to-prison pipeline. I merged that panel's thoughts with mine. There have been positive responses from the highest-ranking officials in your counseling and police departments, but I have received no institutionalized traction from any schools. Too often we hear about gun violence. It comes mostly from former students. What I propose would make a difference. Jerry and Juliet had faith in me. How about you?
Madam President, motion to extend. He wanted to speak about Westbury. Motion to extend.
Go ahead.
I did not know about the Westbury agenda item, but I have lived across the street from Westbury High School or down the block since 1980. I attended some events at Westbury High School in the past year, and as a result, I met the principal, Ms. Nixon, and she introduced me to two teachers involved in student government. One was Mr. Cruz, the other was Ms. White. When I suggested a campus-wide student government that would get this kind of a turnout because of the organization of the students, Ms. Nixon rebuffed the idea completely. When I met about a month ago with people in the wraparound services program and said, you need to reach out to the community, our property values go down because the school is not well respected in the community. And I followed it up with a letter to the wraparound services people. I got no response. That's the problem we have at Westbury. Getting rid of this gentleman is
Calandra Boson, followed by Veronica Hunter Johnson.
Of a student at Westbury High School. I'm asking you to please reinstate Mr. Washington as the director of Westbury High School Band for 2023 and 24 school year. Mr. Washington has directed this band for over 16 years, converting it into one of the most recognized and the most distinguished programs that Westbury has to offer. He encourages our children to present themselves with integrity and respect. He challenges them to maintain above average grades. He assists them through the college application process and hosts collegiate band auditions at the school. In closing, our children deserve the best experiences at school. Please don't allow them to be stripped away of yet another seasoned, qualified, and effective teacher. I ask you to reinstate Mr. Washington as director for 23-24 and for the sake of our children's emotional health. I thank you.
Veronica Hunter Johnson, followed by Juan Romero and Ryan Penner.
Okay, I'm here to address two items. First off is reinstating Mr. Washington as the band director at Westbury High School. My son fell in love with the program in the elementary, at Lovett Elementary, when he had an outreach program and the kids got an opportunity to come out on the football field. And that's when my son said, I'm going to play the trombone and I'm going to be a part of Westbury Band, way back in the 2nd and 3rd grade. So those are the type of inputs and the type of effects that he have on the community. And that what, from Lovett to Maryland to Westbury, my son has enjoyed the band and we want to keep our band director. Also, I want to address the principal, Ms. Nixon, and her policies of miscommunication and calling students in the office to speak to them about band incomes and the money in the school and not speaking to the parents. We've been waiting on a meeting with her since May 3rd, emailing everyone and still haven't gotten a date. We deserve to have communication. We want to be a part of our students' learning. I'm in a PTO, I'm in SDMC, but we can't get a meeting with her. Thank you.
Juan Romero, followed by Ryan Penner and Ana Otero. Juan Romero, Ryan Penner, Ana Otero. Ana Otero. Okay, Ana Otero, followed by Michael Johnson Sr. ¿Necesita traducción? Sí. Do you know where the translation services are? There's nobody back there. Okay. El doctor Cruz le va a traducir aquí. Gracias.
Buenas noches a todos.
Good evening, everyone.
Mi nombre es Ana Otero.
My name is Ana Otero.
Mi hija Brianna Otero
My daughter, Brianna Otero,
empezó este año en la escuela Westbury.
she began this year at the Westbury High School.
Ella cuando comenzó muy emocionada
When she began, she was very excited
porque fue aceptada por la banda de la escuela.
because she was accepted into the band program at the school.
Y ahorita que nosotros recibimos la noticia
And now that we received the news
de nuestro director de banda,
that the band director,
nos sentimos muy tristes.
we felt very sad.
Y creo que todas las personas que estamos acá estamos tristes
And I think that all the people that are here are feeling the
porque
same
recibimos
sadness
esta noticia
because we received this news
que van a quitar al director de banda
that they're going to remove the band director
cuando él ha hecho un buen trabajo por toda la escuela y por todos los alumnos.
when he's done a great job for the entire school and for all the students.
Todos los padres necesitamos y les pedimos de favor a toda la junta directiva que está acá
All of the parents need and ask that all of the board of directors who are here,
que por favor
that you please
piensen,
think about
piensen bien en todo el trabajo que el maestro ha hecho por la escuela y por los alumnos.
that you think well about all of the work that the individual, the employee has done for the school and for the students.
Porque ellos se han enfocado mucho en la escuela y en mantener en alto la escuela High School Westbury.
Because they have focused on the school and maintaining it at a high standard. West
Gracias.
Point. Thank you. Gracias.
Michael Johnson Sr., followed by Janita Washington.
Good evening. Michael Johnson Sr., father of Michael Johnson Jr. He's a junior at the band at Westbury High School. I was just amazed about how everybody in the community always say they want a leader, someone that kids can look out to and help the community. And you have a gentleman like Mr. Washington. I have the ability, I have a career that I'm able to drop my son off every morning and pick him up every evening, and Mr. Washington is there. And when you have a dedicated employee like that, it's a shame that you would just get rid of him or just disregard it. And then he's running an excellent program that everyone seems to respect. The second thing that really just irks me is that the principal wouldn't speak to anyone, any of the parents. I haven't heard one parent say that she actually spoke to him, gave him a reason why. But it just seems just a tragedy that any conflict that a principal and a teacher have, we know there's no perfect employee, but why would you hurt so many students and parents just because one little issue you have? Deal with that issue alone, but don't hurt the community and the students and the parents. That's it for me. Thank you.
Janita Washington, followed by Susana Guzman and Sam Smith.
Good evening. I'm Shanita. I am the parent of a band student at Westbury High School. He's going into his senior year. I would like to request the reinstatement of Reginald Washington, the band director. Mr. Washington has positively influenced every student he has come across in the past 17 years. He encourages the students to believe in themselves and to use their musical gifts to be successful in life. He is a mentor to the students. He teaches them that hard work pays off. This makes them strive to be the best by maintaining good grades and having self-discipline. The program that he created has allowed so many to receive scholarships. Why would anyone want to change that? Please think of the students and the negative impact that this will have on them mentally and emotionally. My son was not in a good space during COVID. When he came to Westbury, he was not physically fit. And this band changed him. When I tell you, he's right there. He has lost half. He is so physically fit now. I am proud, very proud. And I'm so thankful, Mr. Washington. I am so thankful. Thank you.
Susana Guzman.
Hi, I'm Susana Guzman, parent of a freshman at Westbury High School. Our Westbury band director, Mr. Washington, has been a pillar and an instrumental part in my son's and all students' education. We chose to attend this high school due to the band program under Mr. Washington's direction. From my son's perspective, he has been a very influence in my life. He's made sure everyone is doing the right thing and keeping up with their grades. He feels he's taught him to be well-disciplined and a professional young person. He actually does care about our education and success. We have yet to hear from the principal. She is not putting the students first. Removing the band director from Westbury would be the demise of the band program and a huge loss for the students, school, and band community. We request the Westbury band director, Mr. Washington, be reinstated. Thank you.
Sam Smith. Sam Smith. Okay. Next, we will hear from registered speakers who signed up to speak virtually via Zoom. Zoom speakers, please remember that we must see you live with your camera on as you speak. Ms. Conroy, please identify and admit our speakers.
Jeffrey Hunter, please turn on your camera. You may begin speaking. Jeffrey Hunter, you need to turn your camera on, please, and begin speaking.
Stop, Mama.
Jeffrey Hunter, you must turn your camera on, please, and begin speaking.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, so my name is Jeff Hunter. Thank you for giving me a minute to talk. Two things I know. Under this band director, this band program has flourished, not only just regionally, but across the southern states. Another thing I know is transparency will help build trust, will help build advocacy for all stakeholders. And I am disappointed in this case. It seems to be a lack of transparency. It seems to be things are being moved in a personally motivated way. And the fact that the principal would take the time to meet with such dedicated parents and stakeholders to really just run a transparent program of what we're doing or what she's planning to do is disappointing and disheartening. So I would encourage that we step back, hit the reset button, and do something that's transparent, where people can make educated decisions on the path forward. Thank you.
Madam President, that was the only Zoom speaker in the queue.
Thank you. That concludes our hearing of the community.
Madam President, I have a point of order.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank all of these young folk and adults for coming out here tonight. And the point of order is that as a board member, I referred it to the administration for review. And I would like to ask Superintendent House, have you begun to look into the situation yet, Westbury?
It's a personnel matter, and unfortunately, it can't be talked about.
I just want y'all to know I referred it to him. Thank you so much. Thank y'all for coming out.
We will now go back to items considered and held for abstention and/or discussion. Our next item being held from the consent agenda is item 4, approval of the May budget amendment, and this was being held at the request of Trustee Cruz. Trustee Cruz is not here. Is she on Zoom, Ms. Conroy?
Admitting her now. Hold on,
Okay.
please. Trustee Cruz, you're in the room. We need to see you on camera, please.
So, we do have a missing phone from one of the trustees, so while we're waiting on Trustee Cruz, does anybody find a phone? Thank you. Okay. So Trustee Cruz, can you hear us?
Yes.
We are on item 4, approval of the May budget amendment.
Okay.
May I have a
Thank
motion?
you.
Oh, I have a motion by Trustee Allen. Do I have a second? I have a second by Trustee Dygard. Is there any discussion? Trustee Cruz?
Thank you. So I'm very concerned that as of March 31st, 2023, we had only spent 64% of function 11, which is instruction. And a year ago at the same time, we had spent 61% of function 11. Sorry, it was 64 earlier. What this tells me is that principals and departments are not spending the money allocated for instruction for a particular year. Decentralization does not equate to lack of support, guardrails, or controls, especially if our purpose of a school district is to make sure that our students are learning. If we continue to intentionally inflate our rainy day fund balance, we are taking money that should be spent on educating children, and we are merely saving for some rainy day that will only be a Band-Aid on any given year. It does not address the deficit, and it continues to rob our children of the education they deserve. Principals and departments need support and accountability with spending their resources to be able to do right by our kids and focus on their outcomes. Thank you.
Trustee Allen?
Thank you. Mr. Superintendent, last Thursday, I think I asked about the one-time funds that we have for this year. And Trustee Dygard had some knowledge of those funds. And my question is, well, let me give you the information before that. DeBakey received $272,000 in extra funds. HSPVA received $214,000 in extra funds. T.H. Rogers, for the last 3 years, has received $200,000 in extra funds. Carnegie Vanguard, $127,000 in extra funds. Westbury, $117,000 in extra funds. Hamilton Middle School, $100,000 in extra magnet money. Oak Forest, $94,000 in extra magnet money. And Jones, $90,000 in extra magnet money. Those monies are those students that were supposed to be one-time funds and that were shared between the schools when they needed to do something extra. As I said before, I got $20,000 one time, and we took that $20,000 and repaired our. Can you fix that to 2 minutes? It's still stuck on 1 minute. Repaired our instruments. So my question is, I asked you to let me know if you were able to address that. So you didn't email me or text me or anything. So were you able to address the magnet funds that we have? If not, then I would like to ask that the new superintendent and board of managers include this reactivation of the one-time funds. So were you able to talk to the magnet people
We did take a look at it and have conversations with the magnet people, and due to the late nature of the request, what this would have meant is several staffing changes, so we didn't think it was in the best nature of these schools and the impact that would have on these schools at this late nature.
So they've been keeping almost a couple $1 million between the 5 schools that the rest of the district is supposed to share. So they should be able to keep it next year because it's a late date. They knew it was a one-time fund, and they knew we were supposed to have it one time.
And I had this conversation specifically with my chief financial officer in reference to it being categorized as one-time funds. And Glenn, I don't remember how many years.
I think the definition changed after.
Ma'am?
I think the definition changed with after the last superintendent. When you came in, the definition kind of changed, and it was stuck at the schools.
Okay. But as I indicated, due to the late nature, we just didn't feel it was healthy to go in and change. It would mean individuals that wouldn't be allocated to those schools. Those individuals have already gone through what it was to have those commitments to be at those schools. So I'm open, and we were looking at that for the previous year. So we're open to the next.
So these are positions that these people have been able.
Some of them are,
and some of them not. The ones that are not positions, are other schools able to share? Those schools that were told to have a theme with no money.
So I don't know the exact nature of every dollar, but I do know that there are staffing implications that go along with it as well.
We do have this process called RIF when you don't have any more magnet money.
What was your question?
My question was, are we going to be able to share the money back, put it back into, to reactivate the money as it was before, not to give to certain 5 or 6 schools, that when the whole district is supposed to be shared. You know, I have this issue when I say show me the money, and then somebody shows you the money and it's not being shared equitably. That's something that we've been trying to do ever since. I think the last 4 of us that came on, the 4 people that came, our main word was equitable. And so now, all of a sudden, we can see after we've been here a while and learned the ropes that things are not equitable and certain schools get to keep millions.
That's been a major part of what we've done, Dr. Allen, and what we've tried to support in terms of equity throughout. It's a part of why we moved forward with RISE and the supports that we've put throughout the district. This particular instance in reference to Magnet and the long history, given that it's, its late nature, we chose not to move forward with the recommendation. So
Okay.
I hear where you're coming from and respect for where you're coming from. But as you indicated, this will be an item that we won't be making any recommendations for this coming school year, but we'll make sure that the concern is passed on to the next superintendent and the board of managers as they take a close look at moving forward with budgets in previous years.
Okay. And basically that was my
future years.
point when I told you I was not being politically correct today. I just wanted to make sure all the money is out there. Every time you hear me open up my mouth, it's about some money that's been hidden for a while. So I think
I can tell you,
Oh, you didn't
I'm not
know
in
it.
the business of
this not your fault. This
hiding.
you came in with everybody to be equitable, and when you did that, you were browbeaten down so that things would stay the status quo, so that all the schools that had continue to have, and those that had not continue to not get. That wasn't your fault. You tried, and then you were browbeaten down. Which is probably the reason why we're getting a board of managers, because of those trustees that browbeat and do the things that they do and that they're still trying to do. And then, okay, thank you.
Trustee Guidry? Trustee Guidry?
I would have to come after Trustee Allen. So that the community understands what Trustee Allen is talking about, and excuse me if you do, I don't want, to talk down to anyone, but it was a certain amount of money that these schools was only supposed to receive one time. Thankfully, Westbury, you were included, okay? But the problem is they've been receiving it for 3 years now. And they will continue to receive it even after we're gone, even though we brought it to the attention of the administration. It concerns me because I love Westbury, but I also love Worthy. I also love Madison. I also love South Early. All of those schools are in our area, District 9, and then there are so many other schools who don't have. And so our concern is that this money needs to be put back into the coffer so that it can be divided equitably. Thank you.
Trustee Santos?
Thank you, President Hernandez and Superintendent House. I do want to echo Trustee Allen, Trustee Guidry's point. Segregation, that's inequity in its most visible form. Our community schools have been stripped of not just their talent, bussed out of our communities, but also no resources or no adequate resources have been given to our community. I refuse to vote on a budget amendment that does not address these issues. We have institutional knowledge. Students, former teachers, former principals on this dais that have tried to figure this out. We've tried to give power to the powerless, and it has failed time and time again. With this institutional knowledge, we have not been able to succeed. So a board of managers that doesn't have the community behind them, a board of managers that does not have the trust, that does not have the institutional knowledge, is not going to get it straight. We don't need outsiders coming in and telling us what our community needs. So I will not be voting on this without some amendments. Thank you.
I'll go in for round one. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Watts for doing the magnet study, because without that information, we wouldn't know what was going on. I agree with my colleagues that there is some inherent inequities that we see from that study, and that they do need to be remedied. We're being told that it's too late at this point in time, but definitely for anyone coming in, it's definitely a concern that there are some schools who are struggling to find TAs for pre-K teachers, and there's other schools receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars. Trustee Guidry?
Thank you. So please help me understand something, because I went to law school. I didn't go to medical school, and this is probably why. On slide 18, we're looking at an actual in March of 2022, a budget, the amount we budgeted, and the amount we budgeted was $2,313,604. But the actual that was spent, unless I'm wrong, is $1,274,410. We came in less. Where is the rest of that money? Because according to the actual of revenue up here, it's 1 billion. I'm sorry, my eyes are giving out. 820, 355, 916. So there was some money left over that I'm not seeing, and I know, Glenn, I could be reading, I'm sorry, I know Superintendent House, I could be reading it wrong, but can someone explain that to me? Because not only is it in 2022, but it's in 2023 as well. We came under our budgeted amount, and we came under the amount of the revenue, of the actual revenue. So what am I missing?
Sure. So in the actual column, that's a snapshot in time. That's just saying, that's not the budget when you look at the actual column, right? That is just saying at this point in time, I'm going to talk about 22. We at that time collected $1.8 billion, but as of that time, we only spent 1.2, right? But there's some big dollars in here that we haven't spent yet in 22 in March. For example, recapture of $231 million still hadn't been paid.
Oh, well, where is that? See, okay, you can stop right there. I didn't know, because I'm thinking we're at the end of the year in March. And, we're at the end of the year, pretty much. And those items are not there. So I think that's what threw me off.
Well, and you still have April, May, June for salaries to be paid out in the district as well.
Yeah, but still, okay.
There are big expenditures that haven't come out yet.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Allen?
While we are on the budget for this particular year, I also wanted to make sure that I addressed, and the new board of managers and the new superintendent saw our issues that we had previously in the career and technology department. That money that was set up, especially with the last vote that we had for Lamar to get a veterinary clinic, and they were upset because they had a dog washing clinic and it didn't work. And then they turned it into a cafeteria and that didn't work. Then they needed some more money. They wanted some more money for veterinary clinic, and we voted that down. Well, we didn't vote it down. It didn't pass. Put it like that. There are schools with CTE programs, like Bel Air has 10, Lamar has 14, and then there are other schools that have to get on the bus, waste their valuable time to all go over to Barbara Jordan to get one of their 14 programs for those children to do career in technology. When I asked you to show me the money, You went to the Career and Technology Department to get the money. They didn't show. Can y'all move that to 2 minutes? So,
Madam President, have we suspended our one round of 1 minute rule for this meeting?
No, we have not, but
Everybody else went over.
anyway,
Budget, yeah.
back to this CTE money that you never get shown. The contract that I was shown, and I did talk about this elevator in that contract. That was not even the contract that was for the veterinary clinic. That was a fake contract that I was shown, and it was for the dog washing project. As a matter of fact, they came up, look at here, you signed it. Your name is right here. I know what I signed. I read. I'm one of the few that read. I read everything. It was not the contract. I knew what the contract looked like for that veterinary clinic, and it was not that contract that they showed me. So I just want to make sure the new superintendent and the board of managers comes in and looks at that career and technology department. Thank you. Follow the money.
Let me look back over my shoulder for our attorney because I know she's going to get me. But I'm going to ask about the budget. How much money do we owe still yet, if we owe anything, on the Bel Air $4.2 million softball field? We paid it off? It's paid in full? I mean, I know it's the previous board that okayed that, but I just wanted to ask, since we talking about budget.
Yeah, so if I remember, that was in the bond program.
I know, but I just wondered what remained of that, even though it was that 2012 bond, then we still had to pay the remainder of it, I guess about last year sometimes. So one of the things, too, I want to mention, and I will say this openly.
Trustees, you do need to tie, I know you're working really hard, but you need to tie it to one of the line items that is in the budget amendment on this particular agenda item. I don't think bond programs are a part of that, but if you've got a question about a particular line item at the function level that's part of the budget amendment, then that would be germane to this topic.
Yes, ma'am, make it germane. Look on budget page 18. I was bringing it around. I knew it was coming back around. Yeah, I knew I was going to get a whipping. But anyway, initially, and Superintendent House, I will say this. And in all honesty, I know we're having a little fun, but serious all at the same time. You came to us with a 5-year plan twice. And with that 5-year plan, for those of you that followed it, I know Larry probably did because he knows more about these bonds than I do. You initially came to us with your staff trying to show us opportunity for some equity. And this board voted that down. And so you had to come back with a secondary 5-year plan. And that 5-year plan, it gave the campuses, they were retaining full autonomy to do what they wanted to do with that money. Whereas the first plan, Hattie Mae White would have been more in charge of it, and then you all could have tailored the amount of monies that would have been spent in the various campuses. So that was an opportunity. Let me bring it back to budget page 18. So as we're talking about the amount of money, I think Trustee Guidry was talking
members.
Huh?
You lost one of your trustees.
Trustee Guidry, we always lose that trustee. But Trustee Guidry was talking about the bottom line, Glenn, that she was speaking of as far as, what line was that? What line item? It was page 18. What line item was that? The bottom line that we were talking about, the savings, the total amount. I don't have it pulled up. But that item that you mentioned, Glenn, is that a carryover from last year? Or is there any of that money a carryover from last year? Or is that all part of that dollars from the 2022-23 budget? What line was that?
So I'm not sure I'm following what I was responding to Trustee Guidry.
Okay, page 18.
Right.
Page 18, and we're on the actual budget as of March 31st, 2023. The surplus, the deficit is what I was referencing. The deficit amount, how much of that is inclusive of what Trustee Allen and Trustee Guidry was referencing with that one-time funding that was made 3 times Is that in that total amount of money that we're spending for 2023?
It's in both the 2.3 million in 2022 and in 2023.
Okay.
It's in the total budget.
So then next year, when that's withdrawn, then we should have a smaller deficit that's going to roll over for 23, 24, correct? Because we'll have that money returned.
So right now, there's no recommendation to change the budget for 23-24 related to those magnet dollars.
Yeah, it just, okay. I went to Wheelie, y'all, but I just don't see how that's going to add
Maybe
up like
some
that.
of these questions are for the next budget workshop.
We would be here?
Yes. It's Thursday. It's in
Oh.
1 week. Okay, don't see anybody else in the queue. Please vote. Does it affect what? I don't know, I'm abstaining. That's not. We need one more trustee to vote.
That would be me.
Voting is closing. Trustee Cruz voted no. Motion fails. 2 in favor, 6 opposed, 1 abstention. Our next item held for the consent agenda is item 5. Approval of recommended curriculum materials for human sexuality instruction and instruction on the prevention of child abuse, family violence, dating violence, and sex trafficking. This item was held for discussion by Trustee Baker. May I have a motion? Do I have a second? I have a motion by Trustee Wade and a second by Trustee Bluford Daniels. Is there any discussion? Kathy, Trustee Bluford Daniels. Oh wait, are you in the queue? No. Trustee Baker.
Yes, thank you so much, Madam President. I did get the answers back on the Q&A, but I'm not satisfied with that, namely because I'm not clear on the content of the human sexuality instructions and how it will be taught to K through, especially 5th grade students. Superintendent House, can you clarify that part for me, first of all?
Sure, Dr. Byrd, do you mind sharing again some of the instances?
So the materials adopted were approved by the SHAC committee, and they are age appropriate.
Well, excuse me for just a moment.
Sure.
I spoke with the SHAC committee that I referred to the first time around, and the person said that they did not approve that, and they were unaware of it.
So, I mean, we have the minutes from the meetings and the attendance. We can.
Okay,
so
all right. Well, perhaps she missed that meeting, but how does this apply to elementary school age students?
So it's an opt-in program, so parents have to opt their child into it. If there's no permission slip received, then the student will not participate in the instruction, and it's presented in age-appropriate ways. It's the facts of human reproduction is essentially what's taught, and at the younger grades, it's really just about them understanding their body. So this has been taught in schools for many years, but again, it's an opt-in program for students, so nobody is forced to do it. And in fact, like if a parent doesn't explicitly say they want their child to participate, they do not participate in the instruction.
Thank you. Well, I just, as I said last week, and I still say that today, I just cannot go with that. I say you can call me old-fashioned if you want, but I just cannot see, because I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I think some things should be left. Hey, listen, I'm talking right now. Point of order. You messed up my minutes. I have a 7-year-old, and I believe that some things should be taught at home. And so I just will not be voting for this item tonight.
Thank you.
Trustee Wade.
Yes. There you go. So my question has to do with, I realize that this was brought, I see the answers to the questions submitted, But and I realize that it's gone through this process. My concern is I'm not. I know y'all say that you're going to put it on the portal, this parent portal, but will you also provide the language that's going to be especially in this high school?
text.
Yes.
Yeah, parents have absolutely the right to review any curriculum, not just this curriculum. Any curriculum that a parent wants to preview, they absolutely have the right to do that, and we'll make it available to parents at any time they wish.
So I see you say you'll have it in the portal, and it has the current curriculum that's already in play right now. Is it on the portal?
I do not know. I have to verify that.
So that's my problem. I'm not completely confident that.
Let me look. Real
Okay,
quick. Yeah.
please, thank you. Since I don't have portal access. My other question for you on this is that if you're going to say something like birthing persons, which I'm totally against, is there a way to state that language would be in this as a heading, to people know to be looking for it?
So that choice of language is a choice that was made by the publisher.
I get it. And I see that you have said that the CDC and the WHO have recommended it, which again.
To the publisher.
Anyway, I see that.
Yeah.
I guess what I want to know is what can the district do to protect children and let the parents know with the language that's going to be clearly stated at the top before they even get into all the minutia. Will you be able to somehow imply that this language is being used?
Let me verify what.
Okay,
exactly
thank you.
was-
That's all.
Yep.
Thank you.
Trustee Guidry?
Thank you. So just so I can do a recap a little bit, just for our students to know, this proposal is going to be taught. Isn't it going to be taught, Superintendent House, at an age-appropriate level?
That's correct.
And the parents will have an opportunity to not only opt out, but they have to actually opt in to this program. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So if a parent does not agree and opt in, then the child isn't taught this, correct?
That's correct.
And so, and would you say that a teacher, oh, I'm doing a cross-exam, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Would you say, sir, that a teacher could change the language from a birthing person to a mother, a parent, as they're teaching?
If they could,
Yes,
I mean, they could, yes.
they probably could, correct?
Correct.
And explain to the child in an age-appropriate language what that means, correct?
Correct.
I passed the witness. Thank you.
Trustee Baker? Oh, sorry, Trustee Santos?
No, I was first. Point of order.
You've already gone one time, so
You
we're
called
going to
my
let
name.
Trustee Santos go.
Go ahead, Santos.
Thank you, President Hernandez, Superintendent House, Trustee Baker. I'm going to say this. I believe that we, the HISD Board, are on display of an example of how people shouldn't be treated. Our district is made up of almost 90% people of color, almost 90% of students that live in poverty. 90% of our community is marginalized and is being disenfranchised. We are being made to feel very small by one man that is not a person of color and certainly doesn't come from poverty. We cannot begin to understand what we can never know. The undertones of the dialogue suggest that parents and students cannot think for themselves. I know that our communities can think for themselves. Just because I'm a woman, just because I'm a woman of color, doesn't mean that I can't think for myself. And for the record, I want to go ahead and state that I support our trans brothers and sisters, including those who give birth, period. Thank you.
Trustee Baker?
Just want to add to, how many minutes have left? Oh, is the clock rolling?
Second round.
Oh, second round. Just want to add that when I stated some comments on this last week, and I got to 45, and that one student opts out, won't they be ostracized like a 7 or 8 year old for not being able to take this sexual human sexuality instruction portion of the class?
The idea is not to ostracize any student that has a guardian or a parent that opts out. The idea is to provide them with an alternative opportunity to not participate in the said curriculum. They'll have alternative opportunities to learn around something completely different, given that we provided a choice to opt in. So it's completely focused around parent choice and providing an alternative outside of what it is that parent doesn't want to see for their child.
Well, let me just say this in motion, like a point of order, that the people of District 6 are vehemently against this curriculum. And so those are the ones who elected me. We're non-individual elected board owners. And so I will not support this curriculum, period.
Trustee Dygard?
My microphone doesn't work.
Use Elizabeth. Oh.
Thank you to the administration. I know this is a complex issue, and I want to thank Trustee Wade for raising concerns from the community, because I think we need to be making sure that we are inclusive of all views. But I also am grateful on behalf of the families who have trans students to make sure that we are being inclusive of all kids. Thank you.
I do have one follow-up in reference to a question that Trustee Wade had. Dr. Burke?
So, Trustee Wade, to answer your question, once it's loaded on the portal, it'll be available at all times. For this current year, it was available at adoption, but it wasn't loaded onto the portal yet. So the portal is a new function that we're using, so it'll always be available. But it was available for parents still had to opt into it, and it was available at the time of adoption for this current school year. But it will be available at all times going forward. Mm-hmm.
Seeing nobody else in the queue, please vote. And for the record, Trustee Cruz is in favor. We are missing one trustee. All right, voting is closing. Motion passes, 7 in favor, 2 opposed, 0 abstentions. Our last item held from the consent agenda is item 6, approval of proposed revisions to board policy AE local educational philosophy regarding goal progress measures 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3 first reading. Trustee Cruz requested that this item be pulled for discussion. May I have a motion? Do I have a second? A motion by Trustee Dygard and a second by Trustee Wade. Are there any comments or questions from my colleagues? I see Trustee Dygard in the queue, and then I will put Trustee Cruz in right after. Trustee Dygard?
Actually, since Trustee Cruz pulled this, well, my question is, do we need to vote on this tonight, or can this wait for the Board of Managers? This is just changing how they're calculating these progress measures.
I'm okay with pulling it.
No, but I have a question before I make a motion. Like, why are we doing this month?
I think you're completely right. I think it can wait.
I'll wait to hear what Judith says.
Trustee Cruz. We can't hear you.
She's muted.
Sorry, I thought there was a presentation that was going to be done on this tonight.
There's no presentation, I'm being told.
Oh, when I asked last week, that's what I was told. That's why I didn't ask questions last week.
last week.
An agenda review. I
Dr.
said,
Burke.
is there going to be?
We do have a slide deck that
Oh, you
has
do?
the information to reference. Yeah, Dr. Matney will.
A slide deck.
There's a
There
slide
is a presentation, Trustee Cruz.
Well, then I'm definitely going to ask that it's postponed. We just getting a slide today.
Well, you need to make the motion then.
So, Trustee Cruz, there is a slide deck, but I know that there's a motion on, or there is a likely motion on the table. Trustee Dagard,
I move that we postpone this to the June board meeting.
I have a motion by Trustee Dagard. Do I have a second? I have a second by Trustee Guidry.
I was in the queue to speak. Could that motion wait? I'll support it. Just let me speak.
I'm sorry, Trustee Santos, there's already a motion on the table. Can you make it germane to the motion to postpone, whatever your comment was?
Okay. So, is there any discussion? Trustee Santos.
Thank you, President Hernandez. So, considering this in the postponement of this item, just want to remind the administration that there are other ways to gauge student learning: fine arts, writing portfolios, smaller class sizes, ceasing the attack on instructional time. Teachers are not allowed to teach anymore because all they do is have DLAs and district assessments and practice for STAR and a lot of other baloney. So I would recommend that in your goal, AE local, our educational philosophy is that we actually educate our children and not just test prep them to death. Thank you.
Seeing no further speakers, please vote on the postponement of this item to the June board meeting. Okay, voting is closing. Motion passes, 8 in favor, 1 opposed, 0 abstentions. We are now ready to consider the remainder of today's agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the balance of today's agenda by consensus? Is there a second?
Hold on, and this is the regular,
Yes, this is the regular agenda, not closed session. We have a motion by Trustee Santos and a second by Trustee Dygard. Are there any comments or questions from my colleagues? Please vote. Voting is closing. Motion passed, 9 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. We are now ready to consider items discussed in executive session. Are there any motions?
I move the board approve the amendment to HISD contract with Region 4 for provision of Lone Star governance on the terms discussed in closed session effective May 12th, 2023.
Is there a second? We have a motion by Trustee Santos and a second by Trustee Baker. Please vote. Voting is closing. Motion passes, 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstention. Any other motions?
I move that the board approve the amendment to the settlement agreement in the matter of Vincent R. Daniel and Kristen R.V., Houston ISD, docket number 188
SE 0220 on the terms discussed in closed session effective May 12th, 2023.
Is there a second? We have a motion by trustee Santos and a second by trustee Guidry. Please vote. We are waiting for one trustee to vote. We are good to go. Voting is closing. Motion passes 9 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions.
I move that the board approve a finding of no good cause for educators to resign or abandon employment contracts without district consent under sections 21.105C, 21.160C, or 21.210C of the Texas Education Code as discussed in closed session, and authorize the superintendent or his designee to submit a written complaint to SBEC SBEC to impose sanctions as discussed in closed session effective May 12th, 2023.
I have a motion by trustee Santos. Do I have a second? I have a second by trustee Baker. Please vote.
I have a question of clarity for legal. Does this include the Westbury Band Director position?
You are not voting on that at all tonight.
Okay,
So
thank you.
none of your motions refer to that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Please vote. Voting is closing. Motion passes 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstention.
I move that the board approve closed session personnel agenda item 5 as discussed in closed session effective May 12th, 2023.
I have a motion by trustee Santos. Do I have a second? Oh, I have a second by trustee Dygard. Please vote. Voting is closing. Motion failed. 4 in favor, 4 opposed, 1 abstention.
I move that the board approve closed session personnel agenda item 7 as discussed in closed session effective May 12th, 2023.
I have a motion by trustee Santos. Do I have a second? I have a second by trustee Baker. Please vote. We have 2 more board members that need to vote. Voting is closing. Motion fails. 4 in favor, 4 opposed, 1 abstention.
There's 3 in favor. Oh, no. Well, okay. I move that the board approve the balance of the closed session personnel agenda, including specifically that the board approve proposed terminations of continuing term and probationary contracts, approve an end-of-term terminations of probationary contracts, that the board approve proposed non-renewals of term contracts, that the board approve issuance of 4th-year probationary contracts, and that the board authorize the superintendent or his designee to provide notice of same, that the board approve separation and release agreements, that the board approve withdrawals of contract recommendations, and that the board approve issuance of final orders on contract terminations and non-renewals as discussed in closed session effective May 12th, 2023.
Lisa. We have a motion by trustee Santos and a second by trustee Baker. And we have trustee Guidry in the queue.
And I just want to say, for the benefit of our audience, that you all know the band director, the Westbury band director, did not come before us to vote on. He is not included in this because you read it and you see terminations, suspensions, and all of that, and I want you all to know that this one is not before us tonight. Okay?
But you showing up was awesome.
Yes.
Please vote. We are waiting on one trustee to vote. Voting is now closing. Motion passes 8 in favor, 1 opposed, 0 abstentions. Is that all of our motions from closed session? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular monthly board meeting held on April 13th, 2023? We have a motion by Trustee Santos. Is there a second? Oh, we have a motion by Trustee Guidry and a second by Trustee Wade. Is there any discussion? Please vote. We are missing 2 trustees, 1 trustee. Voting is now closing. Motion passes 9 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. Mr. Superintendent, do you have any report?
Madam President, I do not, but I do have a few comments that I'll make, as this, of course, is the last opportunity that I'll have to address the community and the board, being that it is my last regularly scheduled meeting. I will say I have truly enjoyed the job. You know, it's been interesting over the course of the past 22 months. It's been a journey, like, quite frankly, no other. Filled with challenges, as you all see in the public on a daily basis, triumphs and lessons learned. I really have had the honor to witness firsthand the incredible work being done in our classrooms with our educators and those that work with our students on a daily basis. The passion and dedication of our teachers, quite frankly, and staff and students has really been inspiring to what I do and have the opportunity to do on a daily basis. As I prepare to leave this position, I want to thank the HISD community for your support, tireless dedication to our kiddos. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve as your superintendent, and I'm proud of all that we have accomplished together. We have, as I reflect back, over 50 schools that were categorized D or F when I arrived, and 40 of those schools are no longer D or F schools, so there has been progress in the right direction. A final note for the graduating class of 2023, you are the future of this city, this country, this state, and I'm really, really proud of all that you guys continue to do to make a difference in this city, state, and country. Keep striving for excellence. Keep pushing yourselves to be the best version of who you are, and know that you have the whole community behind you, cheering you on every step of the way. Thank you.
We are now ready to hear reports and comments from board members. Please limit your time to 1 minute per trustee.
1 minute. No, this is a closing, our last statement.
This is in the script, okay? I guess we will not. We will start. Is there anyone who would volunteer to go first with all the minutes that they want to spend?
With the extra minutes. She's a lawyer.
Yeah, I definitely want to congratulate the class of 2023. I'm looking forward to graduations. It's always such an exciting time, and I think back on
all of my years of working with students, and just such a huge milestone. I had the honor of attending the G Unity Hustle Tank earlier. Was it just yesterday? Just so impressed. Congratulations to the winners, and really just a congratulations to all of the participants. The sky is really the limit for our students, and I just think about when they're given opportunities, they will definitely thrive. It's truly been an honor to serve as a trustee. I'll still be here. I'm not going away. I will be watching, asking for transparency, and sharing information with the public. I really do want to thank my colleagues. Sorry, I knew I was going to cry.
No tears in softball.
This board showed up. We put in the time. We did the work, even though we disagreed a lot of the time. Thank you to board services. They work tirelessly behind the scenes. Thank you to all of the employees of HISD that show up each and every single day for our students. And really thank you to our teachers, because I know your work is never easy. And most importantly, thank you to our students. May all of those in leadership make sure that each of you is afforded every opportunity to fulfill your dreams. Thank you.
I'll go next. Thank you. You know, I at least had to let one lady go first because my mother always taught me to be a gentleman. Mom is still alive. She's in Georgia. She's to be 84 next month. But I just have a heart of thanks tonight. I've been elected for 17 months now. And I finally got used to being a trustee, to learning the ropes, so to speak. And so I have a heart of service. And it's not all about me. It's about the kids and their education. I say that I have 197,000 children. And so I'm grateful for what the public has allowed me to do so far, for the constituents of District 6 and the entire Houston Independent School District. I'm thankful because we have one mutual desire, and that is to see students be successful. I also want to spend this night to give my condolences to the family of Mr. Gary Monroe. It was him who pushed me for 7 months to run for school board. Had it not been for Gary Monroe, I would not be on the school board. And so I would like to salute 5 Star tonight in his absence. Many of us say this, that we always didn't agree on everything. But that gentleman, I didn't know him before I ran, sought me out and pushed me for 7 months until I signed up 2 days before the final day, ran my race and won. And so God has a way of using people. And now his service is over, and I want to believe that he's watching us from upstairs. To all of you who came tonight, I truly, truly thank you for staying to the end. I can't recall a meeting where I've seen so many young folks stay to the end. I want to encourage you to keep pursuing higher heights. You are our leaders. You will take over when we're all gone. And so continue to press on toward a higher mark and higher calling. And as a pastor, I'll say that through Jesus Christ. And happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers and those expecting mothers. Happy Mother's Day to all of you. And I wish many blessings upon your life. And may the Lord bless all of you, all the colleagues I've been serving with. I know as the only guy on the board, you've had to put up with me, your little brother, your big brother. But hey, it is what it is. But I love all of y'all like sisters, and Mr. House like brother, and all of the staff, senior staff, all the chiefs, all of y'all along the wall, all of y'all. I just love everybody. Thank you all for being one big family. And like Trustee Cruz said, I'm not going anywhere. We will be supporting the board of managers. And, and since I have a heart of service, I might be pursuing other things, but I will always be there because I've been serving the public for nearly 40 years. So God bless you and good night.
Another volunteer? Trustee Wade?
Okay, thank you all so much for being here. I mean, it just means the world to us to see all these folks that come out and are here and are dedicated. It is amazing to watch you all and witness and hear from you. So thank you. And I want to thank all the staff. I want to thank board services. I mean, if you only knew what board services does for us. Thank you for the time that y'all stay, the time that you answer our emails. I just can't say enough. I want to also highlight the Spring Visual Arts Showcase. It's out in the lobby. If you had a minute to check it out, it's worth seeing. That's students from all over the district to witness. It's also Teacher Appreciation Week, and as Kendall Baker said, it's Mother's Day weekend to come. I want to thank and congratulate all the graduates that will be going across the stage in a couple of weeks to celebrate that momentous day, how important that is. I also want to thank security. I want to thank tech service for all the help they give us, food services for the food they provide, and all the rest of the staff that make this ship run. I want to thank you, Superintendent House, for putting up with us and for us putting up with you. So it works both ways. I want to thank Westbury community. Wow, very impressed. So thank you all for coming out. And it's been such an honor and a privilege to be able to serve you over the past year and a half. And I continue to press in. And I just thank you and have a blessed and wonderful night. Trustee Guidry?
We right. First of all, I'd like to give a world of appreciation to all of the principals, teachers, cafeteria workers, janitorial service. I know that it's another name now, but I'm old school. It's janitorial service, bus drivers, paraprofessionals, etc. Your dedication to these children is mind-blowing. It truly is. And I want to be the first, well, one of the first, to, on behalf of the board, to say we really, really appreciate you all. Whether you hear it from us or hear it us telling you individually, I want to say it. Let me just say, I'm not saying goodbye. I was elected to serve until 2025, and I plan to do just that. Prior to being appointed and then elected to the board, I was fighting in a different arena, addressing the injustices of the CPS system. But I'm here now, and I'm here to stay. We will continue to advocate for the injustices on our campuses. For instance, there are campuses that continue to receive a one-time fund year after year after year, and we have campuses who are having their CTE funding reduced because there's no funding, allegedly. Allegedly. I ran for the sole purpose, and that was to help write policy to achieve better student outcomes. I will stay here to make sure whoever sits at this seat will be looking out for all of the students and not just some. You all, I'm so thankful that you all showed up. So you've had an opportunity to see how this thing works. You now know what happens at a board meeting. You've heard about them and the Board of Education. Well, now you know how it works. You too can sit in this seat. Give back. Give back to your communities. At some point, this is a giving back to your future generations, no matter what professions you go into. You've heard me say I'm an attorney. I'm a law school professor. But I'm here to help, to write policy, because it takes all types to do it. They need people from every genre to make sure that every community is addressed. So remember to come back and give back. We have learned that it is a possibility that we will no longer have an HISD email. So because you all elected me, take out your pens, your pencils, and your phones, because I'm going to give you an email where you all can contact me, your elected official. My email address will be HISDMyrna, MYRNA, @gmail.com. If you need your elected official, contact me, reach out to me, and I will stand with you on your issues before this board, the new Board of Managers. Thank you all so much for coming out. Congratulations, Madison, on being one of the G Unity winners. Congratulations to all of our graduates, and I wish all of you all the most success. And remember, I always say, excellence resides in District 9. You're a part of District 9. Thank you.
We will be going to the graduations up until June 4th. Any other takers for being before being voluntold? Trustee Allen.
Today, come on. I want to start with accolades for our superintendent, Mr. Millard House. You came to Texas with the best of intentions, but Texas politics is a whole different ball game. But please know that I appreciate you. We have one more meeting, and I know we have the hearings and the budget workshops, but this is my last time to be able to make comments. And I want to say to the constituents, I have never given up the fight. I will continue to be your elected official, even after the fake board continues with their hostile takeover. There is no way that one man should be able to overturn the votes of 1 million people. On a positive note, congratulations to the class of 23.
Trustee Bluford Daniels.
Okay, I tried to initiate a joke over here for Cruz to keep her from crying. So I ain't gonna cry, but I will say this: I am not always the most poised or the most articulate, but I am you. I am those students at Cashmere, at Wheatley, at Yates, at North Forest. I am all of those students. And I say that because I don't have the education background. I see one of my cohorts out here. I'm a retired postal manager, almost 30 years. And so, though I have another job now, a secondary job, I did my time. So if nothing else, that tells you that I am a committed individual to spend 30 years on a job, especially that job. But, I want to say thank you to my family, my husband, my daughter, my grandkids, all of my family for putting up for the time that we have taken up here and spent a lot of time. You all just see us basically on Thursdays, but we are here. We have to study and prepare to come up here and be able to talk about the various things on this day, as whatever we get for the agenda. Now, everybody don't study, but some of us we study. We go and we prepare. Thank you to board services. You all have been awesome. Awesome. I can't say that with enough emphasis. Thank you all. You all have been so good to us. I want to say also to the Wheatley students, not just because I'm a Wheatley grad. Thank you, Pam. I see you both back there. But I want to say those kids have heard I say Dr. Pam too. Don't get it twisted. Dr. Pam Boveland. But those kids have heard so much negativity, how poor they are. Their zip codes means that they can't learn. But this one right here, if you see Kathy and a bear in a fight, help the damn bear. Because I'm going to fight. And I'm going to fight, because I am that kid at Wheatley, at Waltrip, at Yates, at Worthing, etc. I'm that kid. I'm going to always try to do what's best for our children. We spend a lot of time here. I missed my granddaughter's dance recital in Klein last week because I was preparing for this. Forgot. My daughter said, Mom, you can't save everybody. I met Larry McKenzie literally in 2015 when we were out there on that side of the dais, protesting out 288, saved no more bloodshed, so various many things. I've been on the ground, which is why I was elected to this position, because the people in my district know, again, help the bear, because Kathy's going to fight. I'm going to fight for what's right. You don't have to worry about it. Integrity. Like I said, I did 30 years. I get a check every month, thank God, retirement check. So I am not going to risk that by a few $100s. I'm going to be there. My reputation speaks for itself. And at almost 65, 66 years old next month, I am not going to destroy my reputation. I am not. I've worked too hard for it. Thank you for Teachers Appreciation. I love you all. I mean, we work hard for you all as well. We don't always agree, Jackie, Daniel. But one thing about it is they're in the work. They do the work. Mr. Washington, I watched you, and it took everything in you to keep from crying, because those kids gave you your flowers today. You don't have to wonder. One young man, a couple of them said you made a difference in their lives. A young black man to some black and brown and white kids making a difference in their life. We don't have enough of that. And I hope that, I'm sure Larry and them, somebody recorded and you could understand apparently what you mean to these kids. If there was any question in anybody's mind before, it tells you what you mean to these kids. So I applaud you all for coming out here. I think as somebody said, and standing up for what's right. Ruth Kravitz, I see you back there, always on the forefront, always in the fight. And we appreciate y'all. We appreciate Ms. McKenzie. Thank you for loaning us your husband, because I've been around him for a long time. It's a good thing I'm old, though. But anyway, thank you. Music is a bridge. It's a bridge for learning. Some of these schools, and I've talked about it many times, have less than 20 kids in their band. That used to be a Marching 100, Yates, Booker T. Washington, Forest Brook, North Forest, less than 20 kids. And you got all these kids out here supporting you. Apparently, you're pouring something into them. The most important thing I want to say is thank you for allowing me to serve you. Not just my D2 Diamonds, but all of you. And I raised so much cane because those kids in D2 have been so overlooked for so long. People say equity, but they use that word loosely. That part, right? That part. It's used loosely. When we get serious about the plans and information that this superintendent or any other superintendent in the future brings to us, that's going to level the playing field, and stop taking our children out of our communities. Let them stay in our community schools. Let our kids stay in our community schools and give them the programs that I've talked about since 2020 in our community schools to retain them. And so we can grow our communities again. Somebody, Trustee Baker, acknowledged Jerry Monroe. And I say, hats off to Jerry, because we were on the battlefield for a lot of things. We don't always agree, but hats off to him because he came and stood here and fought. Whether I agree with him or not, he called me sometimes afterwards and tell me, and we'd have a few choice words, Rep, but I can't say those words. But anyway, we had them. Congratulations to my grandest son, E3. I talked about the time that we're away from them. My grandest son will be graduating from Lamar University this Saturday with a degree in, numbers. I can't remember what it is. It's numbers. He's obviously smarter than his queenie, but it's something to do with numbers. Mr. House, thank you. Thank you for bringing some of the best and the brightest chiefs here. My Glenn, I'm going to miss you, but I really do appreciate that. You brought some of the best, and y'all raise up off Dr. Watts now. But y'all have been good. And my neighbor over here, and we appreciate you all. So some of you all haven't heard the last of us. And I'll be back on that side of the dais, Larry. I'll be right back out there with you again. You know, so I'm good with that. But thank you, too, for allowing us this opportunity to be able to extend our time and just let the public know how much we do enjoy service. Service is what I do. After retirement, service is what I do. I'm getting old and raggedy, so it's time to pass the baton. So you guys start looking at opportunities as to what you can bring forth, what you can offer. You may not want to be a board member. You might want to be we had a mayor out there at Westbury sitting up out there. We don't know. In D2, you all have every opportunity. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. And I fight because all of our children deserve the same opportunities, and they have the same ability to learn. Just because their zip code is 77020, 77026, or 77028 or 16 does not mean that they cannot learn. So that's why I fight like I fight. Thank you, Reb. Thank you all.
Trustee.
Pass the plate. That's what you do. Pass the plate.
Dygard or Trustee Santos? Trustee Santos.
First, thank you, Superintendent House. I know you uprooted your family to come to Houston with a lot of hopes and aspirations for what you would accomplish here, and this isn't, I'm sure, how you wanted all of this to go. I know that this was challenging for you. We can be a challenging bench, but I've appreciated your service here. To my colleagues, to each and every one of you, I have appreciated the different perspectives that each of you have brought to the table for the decisions that have been before us and the challenges we've been trying to overcome for our students. Board services staff, you have been so gracious in your support of us, and there's no way that we could have done what we do without you. To every administrator and everybody who works for our district at every level that supports our students and their success, you choose to work for HISD, and I thank you for making that choice. To our school-based staff, especially our teachers, same thing. You are the closest to our kiddos. You have a choice of where you work, and I know that this is a scary time for everybody who works for the district, and thank you for continuing to stay here and try and have as seamless of a transition to create as much stability for our students during these uncertain times as we could possibly do. We all have fought differently from this table. I know that I am particularly, I think, misunderstood. I can be passionate. I can be abrupt. My mother says I have no soft edges. I came in here with, if I could have only accomplished one thing, it was to increase literacy for all kids. Some of you, but most of you probably don't know, my dad was a high school dropout, so was his sister. She went on to be a special ed teacher with her husband in Arizona. I knew the challenges growing up of having someone who had not had a level of education and really the level of support in special ed that he needed. it has been very personal for me to choose to be at this table. For many reasons with my own family, but also in the advocacy of all the years that I sat where every one of you that are sitting in the advocacy of fighting for the students in our district. And I know not everybody believes or understands the position that I came from because our views may be different, but I fought to make sure that the kids who weren't getting what they needed, even though I know a lot of you won't believe that, were going to get what they needed. There were budgets that came before this board that were going to increase inequities, not decrease them in terms of the dollars invested on kids. I am going to keep fighting. It's in my blood. I'm not going anywhere either, as I don't suspect any of my colleagues will. We all care deeply about this city, the future of this city. I've always believed that despite our differences in how to get there, that we all had at the very core of our beings what we wanted for the least of our students who have been marginalized for far too long. Even though we don't know what's going to happen next, I hold out hope because I know that we are a city full of passionate people who care about our communities, care about our kids. And I know that those of you that are sitting in the room tonight, those of you who are watching from home, are going to continue to lift up your voice. And I have one ask. I ask that we figure out as a community a vision for what we aspire to for our children, for what 21st century learning looks like for kids. Kids learn differently. They come from different spaces. They have different aspirations. We reward the kids who are good at everything, and we label the kids who struggle. And that needs to stop. We need to see the gifts in every child, and we need to figure out how to develop the gifts that every kid has, no matter where they live. And to me, and I'll leave you with a story. I can't remember if it was a podcast or a NPR, but NASA is struggling to diversify their engineering force. And that all starts in elementary school, because if kids aren't getting good, strong math and science in elementary school, they can't access the advanced classes in middle school, access the advanced classes if they even have them in high school. And the true measure of equity in my mind, and I welcome anybody who after this wants to give me a different perspective than this, but when NASA isn't having trouble diversifying their engineering force because we prepared kids from the very, very start to be able to aspire and access that. And that means equitable opportunities in every classroom, every day for every child. And I want you all to fight for that. I want you to fight to make sure that our kids are actually getting the outcomes that they deserve at every level to access the next level. That's what you guys are good at doing. But if we could collectively fight for that for kids, I think we can hold whoever comes in behind us to that collective aspiration and be incredible as a city for what we do for kids. So thank you.
Trustee Santos.
Thank you, President Hernandez. I do have to say one second. Morris Isai Santos Penner, go to bed. He's at home watching me now. Okay, so on a more serious note, I know many of you are asking, where do we go from here? To answer that question, we have to answer another one first. How did we get here? Some say it was HB 1842 or SB 1882 or some other bill or court case or administrative act. Others say it was because we weren't nice enough to each other, or maybe because we didn't force our children to take enough standardized tests. No, the place we find ourselves today is a point on a straight line our district has traveled for many decades. At one end of the line is segregation, inequity in its most visible form. The inequity never went away. It just became less obvious. Those who started with privilege were relentless in their efforts to keep it. All along, the powerful siphoned resources from the powerless. But at the same time, some of us refuse to be content letting things happen to us. We began to make things happen for us. That's how I got here. I grew up in HISD schools, Herrera Elementary, Burbank Middle School, and my own high school, Sam Houston, was shut down by the state. In my community, many, myself included, are children of immigrants, and more are immigrants themselves. Sometimes we're scared to speak up, often for good reason. But I knew early on that I wanted to do what I could to make sure our schools were set up to serve our communities. We are HISD. I am HISD. I taught for 10 years in HISD schools. Then I became the first District 1 trustee from the east side of I-45, where more than 60% of District 1 students live. For the first time ever, those students had a leader who knew who they were, where they came from, how they lived. For the first time, they could see themselves in their leader. And now TAA has come in and stripped them of that. We are here now because those kids were never supposed to have a voice in this district. Some have mistaken our efforts to fight back and demand our voices to be heard as the very cause of our troubles. From the first day I got on this board, people would tell me, "Don't fight. That will just make TEA angry." I didn't listen to them, and neither should you. Because when we fight, we win. We fought TEA and we won. We refused to allow our schools to be sold to corrupt private charter organizations. We kept TEA from taking over for years. We took them to the Texas Supreme Court twice, and we would have kept winning, but the legislature changed the rules in the middle of the fight. And that reminds me, I said, when we fight, we win. But the truth is, we only win when we fight together. We lose when we become divided. We've been divided over and over from within. Some who claim to support public education, including members of this board and members of the state legislature, would have had us sell the schools serving our most vulnerable populations to the highest bidder. Some thought we could compromise with those who sought to steal the most valuable assets our communities have, our schools. I hope they have learned their lesson, because we can no longer make that mistake. I believe that many of us have had our eyes opened in the last few months. We have something precious that will be taken from us unless we stand our ground. TEA, the Board of Managers, the profiteering charter movement have won many battles, but they are on our turf now. They have pushed our backs to the wall, but they haven't seen the full power of our communities manifest when united in a fight for our survival. We have no choice now but to show it to them. So tonight, I will step down from this dais, from this seat of power, but a greater power will continue to flow through me, standing shoulder to shoulder with my community. And when a member of the Board of Managers takes this seat, they will soon learn how easy it is for us to knock down a paper puppet. Students, teachers, parents, partners, we are the community. We make up the heart of our schools, and with every lesson taught, every music note played, every field coached and played on, every relationship built, is the testament that our community is our schools, and we are the heartbeat. We will never stop being the community. We will never stop being HISD, and we will win. The fight is just beginning. Remember, students, my former students that are in this very room tonight, and teachers, y'all made the impossible happen. It's time to pick out our walking shoes and let's get to work. Governor Ann Richards was a teacher. I am a teacher, and we have a governor to remove and a state agency to expel. Thank you all very much. I do want to just sidebar this for a second. These last 6 years I've spent honoring our students by honoring our teachers. Let teachers teach. Pay them like the professionals they are. Let them build relationships, reduce class sizes. Then and only then will you let them know you honor them and truly appreciate them. Happy Teacher Appreciation Week.
So thank you to all the students who are here today. Quiero decirle feliz Día de las Madres a las mamás que están aquí. Gracias por venir con sus estudiantes. Yo sé que es mucho esfuerzo y yo sé que con el apoyo de ustedes, su hija, sus hijos van a ser exitosos. Mis papás vinieron de México cuando ya eran adultos y yo estoy aquí ahora. Y es por la ayuda de los papás y necesitamos más representación latina y sabemos eso porque la mayoría de HISD es latino y necesitamos más representación. Muchas gracias por estar aquí porque usualmente no tenemos a nadie de habla hispana aquí. Muchas gracias. Congratulations to all of the 2023 graduates for this year. I know it's been a crazy time through your high school years. Thank you to all of the HISD students, all of the HISD parents and teachers, staff members, including Mr. House, who has been here with us. Working. It's a lot of hard work. I have been a trustee for almost 4 years, and I am so appreciative of it and grateful for the opportunity. I came here with the focus on equity, and we have been working on that as a board, but there's still a lot more steps and a lot more actions that HISD needs to take in order to get there and in order to make HISD actually equitable, but we've been going in the right direction. Tonight is the final board meeting for the elected trustees. The elected trustees have been focused on governance. Although it is hard at times, it's interesting to have and challenging to have 9 very different perspectives on the board, but that's exactly what the elected board should be. We have been laser focused on student outcomes, and we've made many positive changes to HISD schools and HISD in general. I will continue to remain involved and making sure that there's community voice heard, especially that the Board of Managers understands what the community wants. I'm hoping that the Board of Managers is not only focused on student outcomes, but is also transparent, and that the community is reaching out to whoever is here next, because they are the ones who are going to be making decisions, so they need to hear community voice as well. And I look forward to being in the seat again as soon as possible. Buenas noches. Good night, everybody. Oh, wait. For the board. Yes. For the board. We're, for the most part, postponed. The board will now adjourn to closed session, as we had discussed, or executive session under Chapter 551 of Texas Government Code Open Meetings Act, subsection 551.004, 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, 551.074, 551.076, 551.082, 551.083, 551.084, 551.089. Should board final action, vote, or decision on any matter considered in closed session be required, such final action, vote, or decision shall be taken at the open meeting covered by this notice upon the reconvening of this public meeting or a subsequent meeting upon notice thereof. The board has adjourned to closed session at 8:50 p.m.